First Term at Malory Towers, read by Millie Scott. Darryl Rivers looked at herself in the mirror. It was almost time to start for the train, but there was just a minute to see how she looked in her new school uniform. "It's jolly nice," said Darryl, turning herself about. "Brown coat, brown hat, orange ribbon and a brown tunic underneath with an orange belt. I like it." Her mother looked into Darryl's room and smiled. "Admiring yourself?" she said. "Well, I like it all too. I must say Malory Towers has a lovely school uniform. Come along, Darryl. We don't want to miss the train your very first term." Darryl felt excited. She was going to boarding school for the first time. Malory Towers did not take children younger than 12, so Darryl would be one of the youngest there. She looked forward to many terms of fun and friendship, work and play. What will it be like? She kept wondering. I've read lots of school stories, but I expect it won't be quite the same at Malory Towers. Every school is different. I do hope I make some friends there. Darryl was sad at leaving her own friends behind her. None of them was going to Malory Towers. She had been to a day school with them, and most of them were either staying on there or going to different boarding schools. Her trunk was packed full. On the side was painted in big black letters, Darryl Rivers. On the labels were the letters MT for Malory Towers. Darryl had only to carry her tennis racket in its press and her small bag in which her mother had packed her things for the first night. "Your trunks won't be unpacked the first evening," she said, "so each girl has to take a small handbag with her nightie and toothbrush and things like that. Here is your £5 note. You must make that last a whole term, because no girl in your form is allowed to have more pocket money than that." "I shall make it do," said Darryl, putting it into her purse. "There won't be much I have to buy at school. There's the taxi waiting, Mother. Let's go." She had already said goodbye to her father, who had driven off to his work that morning. He had squeezed her hard and said, "Goodbye and good luck, Darryl. You'll get a lot out of Malory Towers because it's a fine school. Be sure you give them a lot back." Now they were off at last. Darryl put her head out to take a last look at her home. "I'll be back soon," she called to the big black cat who sat on the wall washing himself. "I'll miss you all at first, but I'll soon settle down, shan't I, Mother?" "Of course," said her mother. "You'll have a lovely time. You won't want to come home for the summer holidays." They had to go up to London to catch the train for Cornwall, where Malory Towers was. "There's a special train always for Malory Towers," said Mrs. Rivers. "Look, there's a notice up. Malory Towers, platform 7. Come along, we're in nice time. I'll stay with you a few minutes and see you safely with your housemistress and her girls, and then I'll go." They went on to the platform. A long train was drawn up there, labelled Malory Towers. The train had different labels stuck in the windows. The first lot said North Tower, the second lot said South Tower, then came compartments labelled West Tower and East Tower. "You're North Tower," said her mother. "Malory Towers has 4 different boarding houses for its girls, all topped by a tower. You'll be in North Tower," the headmistress said, "and your housemistress is Miss Potts. We must find her." Darryl stared about her at the girls on the crowded platform. They all seemed to be Malory girls, for she saw the brown coats and hats with the orange ribbons everywhere. They all seemed to know one another, and laughed and chattered at the tops of their voices. Darryl felt suddenly shy. "I shall never know all these girls," she thought as she stared around. "Gracious, what big ones some of them are! They look quite grown up. I shall be terrified of them." Certainly the girls in the top form seemed very grown up to Darryl. They took no notice at all of the little ones. The younger girls made way for them, and they climbed into their carriages in a rather lordly manner. "Hello, Lottie. Hello, Mary. I say, there's Penelope. Hi, Penny, come over here. Hilda, you never wrote to me in the halls, you mean pig. Jean, come into our carriage." The happy voices sounded all up and down the platform. Darryl looked for her mother. Ah, there she was, talking to a keen-faced mistress. That must be Miss Potts. Darryl stared at her. Yes, she liked her. She liked the way her eyes twinkled. But there was something very determined about her mouth. It wouldn't do to get into her bad books. Miss Potts came over and smiled down at Darryl. "Well, new girl," she said, "you'll be in my carriage going down. Look, that one over there. The new girls always go with me." "Oh, are there new girls besides me? In my form, I mean?" asked Darryl. "Oh, yes, 2 more. They haven't arrived yet. Mrs. Rivers, here is a girl in Darrell's form, Alicia Johns. She will look after Darrell for you when you've said goodbye." "Hello," said Alicia, and 2 bright eyes twinkled at Darrell. "I'm in your form. Do you want to get a corner seat? If so, you better come now." "Then I'll say goodbye, dear," said Mrs. Rivers cheerfully, and she kissed Darrell and gave her a hug. "I'll write as soon as I get your letter. Have a lovely time." "Yes, I will," said Darrell, and watched her mother go down the platform. She didn't have time to feel lonely, because Alicia took complete charge of her at once, pushed her to Miss Potts' carriage and shoved her up the step. "Put your bag in one corner and I'll put mine opposite," said Alicia. "Then we can stand at the door and see what's happening. I say, look over there. Picture of how not to say goodbye to your darling daughter." Darrell looked where Alicia nodded. She saw a girl about her own age, dressed in the same school uniform, but with her hair long and loose down her back. She was clinging to her mother and wailing. "Now, what that mother should do would be to grin, shove some chocolate at her and go," said Alicia. "If you've got a kid like that, it's hopeless to do anything else. Poor little mother's darling." The mother was almost as bad as the girl. Tears were running down her face too. Miss Potts walked firmly up to them. "Now you watch Potty," said Alicia. Darrell felt rather shocked. Potty! What a name to give your housemistress. Anyway, Miss Potts didn't look in the least potty. She looked thoroughly all there. "I'll take Gwendolen," she said to the girl's mother. "It's time she went to her carriage. She'll soon settle down there, Mrs. Lacey." Gwendolen appeared ready to go, but her mother clung to her still. Alicia snorted. "Oh, see what's made Gwendolen such an idiot," she said. "Her mother! Well, I'm glad mine is sensible. Yours looked jolly nice too, cheerful and jolly." Darrell was pleased at this praise of her mother. She watched Miss Potts firmly disentangle Gwendolen from her mother and lead her towards them. "Alicia, here's another one," she said, and Alicia pulled Gwendolen up into the carriage. Gwendolen's mother came to the carriage too and looked in. "Take a corner seat, darling," she said, "and don't sit with your back to the engine. You know how sick it makes you, and—" Another girl came up to the carriage, a small, sturdy girl, with a plain face and hair tightly plaited back. "Is this Miss Potts' carriage?" she asked. "Yes," said Alicia. "Are you the 3rd new girl? North Tower?" "Yes, I'm Sally Hope," said the girl. "Where's your mother?" asked Alicia. "She ought to go and deliver you to Miss Potts first, so that you'd be crossed off her list." "Oh, Mother didn't bother to come up with me," said Sally. "I came by myself." "Gracious!" said Alicia. "Well, mothers are all different. Some come along and smile and say goodbye, and some come along and weep and wail, and some just don't come at all." "Alicia, don't talk so much," came Miss Potts' voice. She knew Alicia's wild tongue. Mrs. Lacey suddenly looked annoyed and forgot to give any more instructions to Gwendolen. She stared at Alicia angrily. Fortunately, the guard blew his whistle just then, and there was a wild scramble for seats. Miss Potts jumped in with 2 or 3 more girls. The door slammed. Gwendolen's mother peered in, but, alas, Gwendolen was on the floor hunting for something she'd dropped. "Where's Gwendolen?" came Mrs. Lacey's voice. "I must say goodbye. Where's—" But the train was now moving out. Gwendolen sat up and howled. "I didn't say goodbye," she wailed. "Well, how many times do you want to?" demanded Alicia. "You already said it about 20 times. Miss Potts looked at Gwendolen. She had already sized her up and knew her to be a spoilt only child, selfish and difficult to handle at first. She looked at quiet little Sally Hope, funny little girl with her tight plaits and prim, closed-up face. No mother had come to see her off. Did Sally care? Miss Potts couldn't tell. Then she looked at Darrell. It was quite easy to read Darrell. She never hid anything, and she said what she thought, although not as bluntly as Alicia did. A nice, straightforward, trustable girl, thought Miss Potts. Can be a bit of a monkey, I should think. She looks as if she has good brains. I'll see that she uses them. I can do with a girl like Darrell in North Tower. The girls began to talk. "What's Malory Towers like?" asked Darrell. "I've seen a photograph of it, of course. It looked awfully big." "It is. It's got the most gorgeous view of the sea, too," said Alicia. "It's built on the cliff, you know. It's lucky you're in North Tower. That's got the best view of all." "Does each tower have its own schoolrooms?" asked Darrell. Alicia shook her head. "Oh, no, all the girls from each of the 5 houses go to the same classrooms. There are about 60 girls in each house. Pamela is head of ours. There she is over there." Pamela was a tall, quiet girl who'd got into the carriage with another girl about her own age. They seemed very friendly with Miss Potts and were eagerly discussing with her the happenings planned for the term. Alicia, Sally and Darryl chatted too. Gwendolen sat in her corner and looked gloomy. Nobody paid her any attention at all, and she wasn't used to that. She gave a little sob and looked at the others out of the corner of her eye. Sharp Alicia saw the look and grinned. "Just putting it on," she whispered to Darryl. "People who really do feel miserable always turn away and hide it somehow. Don't take any notice of our darling Gwendolen." Poor Gwendolen. If she'd only known it, Alicia's lack of sympathy was the best thing for her. She'd always had far too much of it, and life at Malory Towers was not going to be easy for her. "Cheer up, Gwendolen," said Miss Potts in a cheerful tone, and immediately turned to talk to the big girls again. "I feel sick," announced Gwendolen at last, quite determined to be in the limelight and get sympathy somehow. "You don't look it," said the downright Alicia. "Does she, Miss Potts? I always go green when I feel sick." Gwendolen wished she really could be sick. That would serve this sharp-tongued girl right. She leaned back against the back of the seat and murmured faintly, "I really do feel sick. Oh dear, what shall I do?" "Here, wait a bit, I've got a paper bag," said Alicia, and fished a big one out of her bag. "I've got a brother who's always sick in a car, so Mother takes paper bags with her wherever she goes, for Sam. I always think it's funny to see him stick his nose in it, poor Sam, like a horse with a nose bag." Nobody could help laughing at Alicia's story. Gwendolen didn't, of course, but looked angry. That horrid girl poking fun at her again. She wasn't going to like her at all. After that, Gwendolen sat quiet and made no further attempt to get the attention of the others. She was afraid of what Alicia might say next. But Darryl looked at Alicia with amusement and liking. Oh, how she would like her for a friend. What fun they could have together!